Do we have a right, a God-given right, to actually govern ourselves under the laws that the country was founded on? Do we have that right as free people? Or are we to be forced to live under the guidelines of the new humanist secularists? Welcome into this edition of Alabama Unfiltered. I am one of your co-hosts, Scott Beeson. Amy Beth Shaver is with me. Allison Sinclair is here as well, back from Mexico. How do you say back from Mexico? I don't know how to say return from Mexico.
Back?
Backo
I just want to say,
Mexico.
¿Dónde está? That means where is? Where is Mexico? I'd
You
like to
probably
go back.
said, ¿Dónde está the
Hola.
restaurante? How's that?
Hola.
You
just
don't
add
know
an
a
O.
lot of, when you go there, you're supposed to immerse yourself, and you were down there for
Which,
Hootie,
where are our
Hootie
t-shirts?
Fest. You didn't bring us anything.
Actually, I will say,
Hootie t-shirts? Come on.
the t-shirts were lame.
Oh, they
I
were
didn't even
lame.
buy myself
How
anything.
can you be named? How can you be a Hootie Fest and have lame t-shirts?
I don't know. They were super, like, anime-ish.
Oh, yeah,
I
no.
don't know.
No.
They were just
look like
kind of
Speed
weird.
Racer?
Like, I wanted some old school vintage,
Yes.
like 1990, won't say 96-ish. And
96 is not vintage, by the way. Just revel in your youth.
okay.
96.
96.
vintage.
Bless
Don't
her
you love
heart.
it?
Love her
Just
so
Bless her
much.
soul.
Mexico was so much
Little
fun.
girl.
It's tough to be back. We should go. We should take
We
a
should
road
take
trip.
this show
On the road,
Yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
So is 1819 News, where you can find this podcast, by the way, along with all the other places you find your podcasts. And in case I forget at the end, please like us and give us a whole bunch of stars and
5 stars, obviously.
Hey,
or
by
6.
the way, I went and checked, and we had 1 star, and it was a 3-star rating. So then I did a 5-star, and now we have 4.
4 star.
Okay, we
Let's
gotta.
rate ourselves.
I mean, I
Every
love us.
day.
Okay.
Only one person gave us a rating?
Well, it was a while ago, but I'm saying, yeah. So we gotta
It's
up and
probably
up.
We gotta
because
bolster it.
Because I keep
We need it.
forgetting to say, please give us a good rating. Go to us
Yeah.
and 5
Please.
stars. Mostly 5
is
stars.
the only thing that's
That
acceptable.
matters. Just keep
Right.
clicking.
Yeah, right. It's like the
take you to Mexico
vaccine,
with us if
except
you
this
do.
is a 5-star. 5 stars. Thanks you. Okay.
So, what is going on this week? Auburn has become a basketball school.
Who knew? It's so interesting because, I graduated from Tennessee, and so I was
Mm-hmm.
a Tennessee fan forever. Bruce Pearl makes the transition to Auburn. It's kind of controversial because of his past decisions.
Controversy. Right.
But my goodness.
But now he's
is
running a squeaky
so
clean
much-
program.
Of course.
Super
I
clean.
mean, anyway, all I know is he's really fun.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
And he has I know y'all
He
are
is such
Alabama
fun.
fans, and it's really hard to give anything, but when you've been Auburn for all these past years, it's so nice. Just give us one thing. And
if
and
y'all look, all right, look,
we're number
we will
one.
make a deal. Amy Beth and I can speak for the University of Alabama,
Yes.
and we will make y'all a deal. If you're speaking for Auburn University.
Of course.
Okay, so the negotiation is we will give you basketball school status.
Okay. Even though we beat you last night.
Yes.
Like handedly?
Yes. We want to
Badly.
be basketball once every few years. Y'all can be basketball school all the time.
Okay.
But y'all just give up football because we're the football school. Y'all are the basketball school. Y'all are like the new
I feel
Kentucky.
like that's fair.
We're
Being
kind of
the-
on our
fair.
way to that.
Being the new Kentucky, does that make you feel good?
Yeah.
In a football state?
That was rough. I was still stuck on Kentucky
You were still
basketball.
celebrating.
I
We're a
was
basketball
so,
school.
yeah, I was.
You were there in
I
your
was-
mind, yeah.
I
don't
would
know.
take
I'll
it if I
take
was
it.
you. You need to take the deal.
I'm telling you, and for
Take the
those
deal.
kids, last night watching the game, and the kids, there's no COVID in that arena. The jungle doesn't have COVID.
Why do
and
y'all
they were
cheerleaders have stupid masks on? Is it NCAA rule?
Yeah.
I
Could
think
you-
so.
It may be.
It's- I
because I
think
see
it
my son on
probably
the
is.
sideline, and I'm like, son, why
Right.
you got a
It's
mask
gotta
on?
be a
But the
rule.
basketball players don't. Well, I'm saying that the
At Auburn,
student
no.
section made me so happy.
They are.
Because they all were just living the college life, having fun. It looked like 1996. It looked old school,
Back
and I
in
loved it.
1996. Were
Way
y'all
back in the
basketball
day.
school in 96?
No, I'm just saying back before
Oh, back
COVID.
before COVID.
Before,
No,
the world was ending.
I'm
Yeah,
going
okay.
to say the things that I like about Pearl. So Pearl gets in charge of the program. You'll have y'all's new arena, and they decide to put the students all around by the court.
Yeah.
That is what it's about. And you know what? The University of Alabama, God bless them, we can't get past the old folks. I'm sorry. I'm becoming one, but it's always, oh, no, let's put the students all in this one place. And maybe they've changed it. Maybe they'll call up and say, Scott Beasley, you have changed it. The student section will be just one section kind of in the corner all the way up to the top. And really they can scream and have their impact, but it's not like a place like Duke where the students are all there. But now the jungle, is that what y'all call it?
It's the jungle.
The jungle has got students all around. There's nowhere to go if you're one of the opposing players. There's always a student going, you're ugly and we hate you and go Auburn. And why can't Alabama do things like that?
I don't
Just
know.
because a bunch of old folks. I mean, look, give us a little space to skip 2 or 3 rows, and then we can sit down and see over the students. I don't understand why this is so hard.
I know, it is.
Money?
No, it's got to just be like everything in so many places in Alabama. It's just whoever was in charge 100 years ago is still in charge. But Pearl has got such a program, and he's convinced somebody, hey, look, no, I need the students down here. This environment helps us win. And I have to admit, I don't want to say it out. Don't tell anybody. Don't do it on.
We won't.
Cut it out of the podcast.
Absolutely
or
not tell anybody.
But I love the program. Now I love Nate Oates at Alabama. And here's the honest thing: Alabama can beat anybody on any night.
I thought you said NATO.
NATO. Well, I'm against NATO. I'm for Nate Oates.
Okay, gotcha.
But Alabama could also lose to my kid and his buddies at Gardendale High School, given a certain night.
It's true. They play to the level.
We can beat anybody or lose to anybody.
They can.
You beat Baylor. I mean,
and then turn around and get smoked 100 to 81 or whatever last night. But still,
it hurt a little bit.
We just got to make.
I'm a
the
North
tournament.
Carolina fan, but and I'm an Alabama fan. That hurt. I'll be honest.
Losing by that much.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Auburn football feeling.
I guess we're even.
Awesome.
Are we even?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
No, you got a few more years of this if we're going to
Really?
be even.
Even
I
in
mean,
basketball?
Auburn's been struggling for a while, so.
Well, I mean, y'all fire your head coach like every other day. Now, that's the job I want. I want to become the head coach at Auburn. Because
Are you qualified?
No, he's not.
I promise you I will be as good as some of the people y'all have hired. I could do that. And then I'll win a couple games, maybe beat Alabama one time.
Starting to sweat
Y'all will
thinking
give
about
me a
leaving, right?
47-year extension with a $30 million buyout.
Yeah.
And then I can go back to stinking, and y'all can fire me. It is perfect.
And then you get paid.
For almost forever.
To do
Yes.
nothing.
But I like the new football coach. and the Auburn people probably don't, but I do. Because I think he's going to do a good job.
I do too.
He had the clean house. You got to change. You got to change the.
You got to give him a
environment.
chance. Yeah.
I mean, Pearl came and changed everything about basketball.
Yeah.
So we'll see how
It's
long
taken a
Auburn.
few years.
But if y'all
That's
are a
good.
basketball school, maybe y'all can give him some time and not get rid of the football coach. See, they're already ready. Oh, we can be both. We'll
It's
be
'cause y'all are so
we'll be
annoying.
number one in basketball and we'll be number one in football. We'll fire everybody.
Y'all
you better get
Alabama
going.
people are so annoying. We can't take
We
much more
are
of this.
annoying?
Oh my god.
Y'all are like the most just irritating group of fans. Y'all cheer for the other teams. We play Texas. Y'all are for them. You're driving by. Alabama hat on. There's Texas people. Auburn fans driving by going, hook 'em horns, hook 'em horns. Like,
You go
that's a
back and
gang
listen
symbol.
to our podcast where I say before the national championship,
Yes.
even though y'all lost, that was rough.
You
I
were celebrating
said,
that,
I
weren't you?
actually said roll tide.
You did.
I
You said
I
it.
just said I'm for Auburn basketball.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
It's getting heated.
Well, speaking of universities, do they still educate people? I mean, is that what universities do, or is it really just
depends
a
on the day.
business? Okay,
think
it depends on the degree.
And then the degree, where you are.
Like if you're doing urban art appreciation from a gender non-specific viewpoint as a
Yeah.
degree,
Yeah.
probably not. It's probably a business.
Probably.
That's such a good question, though, because there's so much discussion right now in Alabama about education and the failing education system that we continue to throw gobs of money at. And so I can't remember what I was reading. I'll have to go back and look, and we can attach it in the show notes or whatever. But I was talking about what is the role of the public education system, and is it even? Oh, it was Joey Clark's article from 1819 News.
great.
Right.
Yeah, and how, like, really, why is it even relevant anymore? Like, what, all these years from K to 12, and then all this money into higher education for what?
What are we getting?
I'm not even really sure anymore.
I don't think anybody is sure, but what I'm sure about is if you talk to someone about education and if the kids are learning or not, you are certainly to maybe make your way into a fight. It's easier to talk to people about everything but education. I don't know if y'all have had this experience, but we've brought up education to people that we say don't go to school with.
Right.
And they're very upset that you would say anything negative about education.
Education is a sacred cow.
It's really weird. And I'm like, no. We're coming against the problem that our kids aren't learning. Like, what are they learning in school? We're not talking about how good a teacher is or not. There's no value on that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the kids. It is about them after all.
Wait. Public education system. Are we sure it's about the children?
It's not about the children.
Okay.
It should be about the children,
Right.
but it is my husband and I's experience that we will get into it with people because they think we're talking about their teacher or possibly mama and them. And I'm like, that's not it.
It's mom and them.
And mom and them.
Your version had a
I'm
TH
from
in there.
Pennsylvania, and so I still retain some
My
of that,
mom
even
and
though
them.
I was
My
an
mom
infant.
and them others.
Mother and the people.
Pinkies out.
But, you know, I mean, it's an interesting discussion because what are we doing? Because then you got to go back to basics and define terms. What is the point? Isn't it to transmit values to the next generation?
Oh, well, they have that perfectly down pat, I promise you.
You know?
They
But
do
is
believe
it?
education.
Is it?
No, they
Is
believe
it?
it
But
is.
originally, was it? You know, back
Yes.
in 1800s, like if
Yes.
you ask them, what's the point? It's to pass it along, right? Whether it's reading, math,
It was
history,
yes,
science.
create people who would be educated enough to defend the republic
Yes,
and arguably the faith.
right.
That's what it was.
And be productive members of society and how to basic norms of social norms of how to get along and how to
Yes.
interact. And then it was probably very founded in Judeo-Christian worldview. And as we've just totally drifted away from that, and we've just seen this crumbling of the entire system, which, you know, I'm not, there are some universal values that you can still speak to without indoctrinating and propaganda, like how to just respect all people, how to be kind, how
You
to
mean
share.
like something like treat others like you would want to be treated?
Yeah, that's
Which is clearly, I'm
Right.
quoting Gandhi. I don't know.
it's like,
It would be okay if I was.
Right,
But
right,
if they
sure.
knew I was, attributing that to Jesus, then we'd have to erase it from the public
Right,
schools.
right.
but even outside of, just the human spirit knows decency. God gave us that common understanding. And I feel like there are certain things that you can grasp on in terms of character development in schools without all this indoctrination and craziness that is happening. But I think it's a great discussion about what is the role of education.
Right.
I mean, it really, I don't know that I've really thought about that. And my kids are now, like, my oldest is at Auburn. I'm like, I never thought about what they were supposed to be doing all those years.
And what were they actually learning? Because if you take out the philosophical part and we just said reading, writing, arithmetic, are we even getting that?
No, I think we're getting so much with all of the social justice movements that are going on in school right now. And that's their stated aim. I mean, there's a BLM Justice Week out in Colorado right now that's going on. There's another place that is offering a litter box for children in the bathroom if they, I'm serious.
No.
Yes,
Wait,
in
wait,
case
wait.
they're
Furries.
identified as furry.
You can
They
be a
are
furry.
not
They're
doing
cats.
the furry
Yes,
thing.
they
I thought that
are.
was mostly
That's
like
not a
Great
joke.
Britain.
That's
No,
real.
Georgia
That's real.
and several, yes.
Georgia's doing furry?
Georgia, yes.
Yes.
There
Y'all are putting me on.
I
No,
will
I wish we were
so-
kidding.
All right, so
I
what-
tried
so
to get
tell
the
me-
link.
are real.
Tell
Yeah.
people what
Furries
furries
are real.
Tell people what furries are.
There are kids, adults that identify as animals, and like apparently there's this whole scuttle because a teacher. I'm gonna
Oh,
giggle.
was this the teacher?
A teacher
Okay.
that wouldn't meow back
Meow.
to her student,
Right.
And now she's in trouble because she didn't play along with the identification that this human being was a cat. Y'all, I don't know.
So
And
we
there's-
have gone now. We've just blown right by that I can be a woman. right?
Yeah, now we're on to an
That's
animal.
gone.
Yeah.
Now
that
I
was
can-
like so 2000 and late. Like forget about it.
That's
Yeah.
old. Because I saw an
Yeah.
article yesterday where a man who says he's a woman says he's also he's also a wolf. Have y'all seen that one?
Okay,
no.
he would be a furry.
He'd be
Okay.
a fur. Yeah, and they
But I
have a
don't know if
litter
he
box
was
for him in the
attracted to-
bathroom
He's
Yeah.
at
not a-
school.
Really? So
Wait, you don't think he finished that sentence?
I'm always confused about the swimmer at Penn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leah, he's a girl now,
Right.
and he still has all his equipment
Sure.
from his old days.
Sure.
And he's attracted to women. So I'm like, that makes you a
lesbian.
yes. Does it
So-
not?
We're
It is.
so speechless. I don't know. I mean, that would be an interesting.
I'm always
Question to
I
ask.
can't figure it
Like,
out.
so
but if we
then
go all the
you-
way to animals
right,
now, so we're
right.
just skipping him.
Right. And so, no, we're not getting educated in school.
We're fighting over litter boxes.
We're fighting over
In
litter
middle
boxes
school
and
bathrooms.
teachers meowing
Right.
and making sure that they address the people by their proper pronouns.
Right. By whatever they
What
say they are. And,
in
those
the
people don't have any mental
world
problems.
are we
Or
doing?
mental illness,
What are we
right?
doing? It's ridiculous.
Why are we doing this? Why is it happening in Georgia? It's got to be Atlanta. It's got to be the Atlanta
You know,
area.
I need
don't
to
know.
go back. I was on a Zoom call with a mom of a group in Georgia, and we were talking about education systems and kind of how we can save from. Oh, I've got a good story actually, if we have time. But anyway, and she was telling us that one of the things they were fighting in their middle school right now, where they have two furries that like literally identify as cats.
No dogs.
I'll go back and-
if you're going to be a furry, wouldn't you be a dog?
I mean, I think
Who wants
cats
to be
like
a cat? What?
so ridiculous.
then you have to go outside to go to the bathroom.
I want to debate
Cat,
this. I'm
you
going to be
can-
a
But
dog.
it's serious. It is serious. And we're actually having in
It'd be so much more flexible
2022
to be a cat.
having a discussion.
I'll
It's true, you would be more
we'll
flexible.
put
if you're
some
a cat.
links to these stories in the show
And then
will?
you can
notes.
see,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll have to go back and look. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That is
I mean, it's
so
legit.
that's
So
here.
we
It's in
can't
America.
even say we'd like to pass on our morals and our values to the next generation until we've gotten around this discussion, which really has been brought in because of social emotional learning and critical race theory. Which was basically the design from
Right.
the beginning, was to kind of divest of any sort of foundation, any sort of structure, so that anything goes, complete chaos, and then in comes the government, and here we are, we will save you.
you just hit the nail on the head.
Well, didn't the Marxists say? Just in their plans here. Here it is. We'll
yes,
undermine.
they did.
We'll undermine every traditional value,
Yes.
every cultural norm.
Yes.
Get rid of the nuclear families. No moms, no dads. We'll make dads worthless. And now we're down to. Let me get this again. Furries.
Yes, we're
People.
to furries.
People who believe they're animals. Now, just a few years ago, when we said men can't be women, I mean, what are we going to do next? People are going to say they're animals, and everybody, you're so stupid. But we
Just
got it.
wait.
What's
I've
after
been-
animals?
Well, I've been saying this like wait until we have like marriage licenses for where you can marry your cat or
a cow.
I mean like that's the kind of stuff that I'm like it's coming. Prepare
Yeah, it
yourself.
is.
It really is.
Didn't they used to call that bestiality?
Yeah, they did.
And
I
when
mean,
you
like
said
that's
this
what
is
the Bible
coming,
says.
people
yeah.
said, "Pfft."
Yeah. I mean, it's already in the Bible. So, oh wait, is it true? What has been
There's nothing
what
new.
is?
Nothing new. Yeah.
has been before? You know, I mean,
That's just insane. And that's
so,
in the schools.
Yeah, it's in the schools, but that's where we are.
So I'm trying to pull it
She's
back.
still going back to the swimmer and still liking women.
Listen,
I just can't figure out how all that works. Well, I mean, then you go to the child molester. Did you hear about this? The man that molested a 10-year-old child.
Okay.
Okay, he molested a 10-year-old girl.
Okay.
Well, then he got convicted, but now says he identifies as a woman, and so they're putting
But
him
isn't
in
that-
a
Yes, I
female.
saw that.
that's how he got in the restroom with the little girl in the first place. He was identifying as a woman
which is how the boy in Virginia got in as well,
both times.
both times.
Yeah.
So there's a pattern here. So there's so much you can jump off into, which is why are we electing the same people, right?
That's a good question.
Why are we electing the same people? And then when the pendulum swings so far one way, it has to come back to the middle, but then that's up to us to go get it back. because this is so ridiculous and ludicrous, and yet it's by design. If we know history and our kids are coming out of school not knowing history,
Correct.
they're just identifying with the Marxian values of, oh yeah, that sounds good. Of course, the
that's
bougie and
that's your
and
truth.
whatever. It's your
Right.
truth. So of course it makes sense to them, but we have a lot of work to do. Is the relationship to all of us? Is it matters who you elect? It matters that you were there. And you were telling people these things all those years ago.
And they said,
and it matters
"You're
what you're
crazy,
doing right
Scott."
now.
That's part
because
of
you
the
have
reason
groups for people to go, I can plug in and I can make a difference. But we will have furries until we say, no, you won't. No, you won't have furries.
I remember all those years being the bad guy, being the evil person. I mean, there was a little while where I was probably the most hated elected official in the state, and then I kind of gave
Is
it
that
back
until
to,
you wore the wiretap?
Oh, no, I was hated for that too.
Oh.
But
Which we got to tell that story
nah,
sometime.
someday. And then it kind of goes back to Roy Moore every so often.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
Oh, he's
but
in the news.
Is he back? I
He's in the jury.
I knew
is,
the trial.
I knew the trial was going
yeah,
on.
the jury is deliberating.
We
Oh,
should
really?
say
It's
that.
already
No,
done?
they might have. Actually, I think I read that they came out that neither of them were slandered. Like,
So they just said,
Okay.
basically, both of y'all are
Jump
stupid.
ball.
Go home.
jump ball.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, I'm
Good
pretty
analogy.
Sure I read that.
I like
actually.
the thread. That was really effective.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an
was
Auburn
good.
thing. All the Auburn fans were like, "Oh, we understand that completely." We're basketball
Absolutely.
people now.
Apparently, they're
Got
the
it.
next Kentucky.
I know what
Okay.
jump ball is.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, you were saying something.
It
Oh, you-
wasn't important.
Oh.
But what was it?
No, you were talking about how hated you were.
Oh, yes. But there were so many things we were trying to warn people of, and I'm just, tell this to y'all. Y'all have lived it too, but I can remember us talking about these things. I was on the education committees. I went to other places in other parts of the country, and you're finding out what's going on in other places, and you're like, this can't come here. We cannot let this come here. And you come right back and they're like, oh, that's because you're not tolerant. You don't get this. Oh, that'll never happen. This will never happen. Why are you saying that? You're just a fear monger. You're just crazy. And we are living all these things that we were told by the same people who were telling us to take the next steps forward will never happen. And here we are. But there's got to be a reckoning sometime, doesn't there?
Absolutely.
When do we tell the people on the left who are at the newspapers? They're in our government, state government. They're in our school boards. They're at the state school board. When do we tell them y'all can't be in charge anymore? Y'all have run this thing in the ground for 30 or 40 years, and it's time for people who are results oriented to be in charge. But the question is, how do we get normal people to even want to be in office anymore? A normal person runs, and they're immediate. They try to get out furries. We're not going to do this. We're not going to have litter boxes in the schools. Okay.
Right.
Immediately you're a hater. You don't understand mental health. They'll bring in the psychologist to say that you're doing nothing but hurting them. Oh, you're going to cause them to commit suicide. We don't want boys in the girls' locker rooms anymore. You are transphobic, homophobic, whatever phobic we can, hydrophobic, every phobic. And they will just beat them into oblivion no matter how good they are, and they know that. It's part of the strategy. So how do we convince people that we're going to be there for them? And how do we tell our people to be there for the good folks? Because it's a whole lot easier to go along and get along.
I think, my mind is spinning right now. And we know that we all listen to Eric Kahn's Hard Man podcast, which was
Yes.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You need
But
to
I
go
think
subscribe
you
and
need to
listen it. I'm
subscribe.
telling you,
It's amazing.
so good.
But I think he brought up several things that are very important, and it's the people that will go to the state house that might run for office, that will be involved. We also have to understand that the mindset that we're fighting against is a fatalistic, this is all we can hope for. We're not building our kingdom. We're just going to let the world have it. So we're fighting against a mindset that we also have to dismantle while appealing to people to say, no, indeed, the Old Testament tells us to bloom where we are planted and to seek the welfare of our city. That means we have a charge and we need to get after it. So I think that's part of it in getting people to run for office and to go down there and say, this is really important. Because I remember when you were having the discussions last time about education and people were like, But it was true.
Right.
You were right.
Right.
And so part of it then we have to deal with our own blind spots because we think, oh, surely not. This is Alabama, the
Right.
buckle of the Bible Belt.
Yes, and
This
we'll say
cannot
it's not our school.
possibly
Not
happen
at our
here.
school.
Not at our school. We say not at our school. Oh, and plus, that's you can't be mean to each other. So, I mean, there's a whole big ball of mess that is involved that you have to kind of take apart so that you can get back to the basics of there are no furries, and we're going to be more like Ron DeSantis because he has this thick skin. He's able to get things across. It seems like it doesn't bother him when people say things.
Well, people
right?
rally around him. That
And
makes
they
a
do
huge
because
difference.
he's telling the truth. And when we begin to strain for the truth again, it will become beautiful to us again, and we will lean toward that. But we got a lot of stuff to kind of wade through before we can get there.
Well, that's what I want to open up.
So-
Well, because I'll forget. But go ahead. I'll remember. I'll just focus. while
Okay,
you're talking.
focus.
Well, I was going to say, when you were talking about how do we remedy this, and it's really, I think, yes, we have to elect good, honest people, but it's even simpler than that, because everything we're looking at is that we've moved into this realm in America and across the world and just human existence of relative truth.
Okay.
And we have to there is absolute truth. And we have to, as Christians, we have to get back to that. And so I think speaking truth, when you run into a friend at the grocery store, or whatever it is, speaking truth in your conversations and not giving in to
Because
furries
are you really being
or
nice?
playing into that.
Are you really being a
No.
nice person when you let the things that aren't true
No.
stand out there?
That is the opposite of kindness. It is evil to not speak truth.
Okay, I will take that. I'll agree with that.
I really do. I mean, God calls us. Now, you speak truth in love.
Right.
See,
I
that's a
don't-
nice little phrase. We got that phrase. I learned that.
Speak
It's
truth
very-
in love. But
right, no matter what.
you look at like the guy.
I'm not really sure what that means.
Well, I think it means like, okay, when we go to a concert, and I love Jesus, but there's the annoying guy that's standing up, that's telling everybody that's walking by that they're going to hell because they're going to listen to
Right.
Hootie and the Blowfish or whatever.
Well, he might have a point.
I mean, and I was like, see ya,
Yeah,
just
right.
waved as I walked by. But like, you know what? He's saying truth. There are probably
Right.
some people there that
Right.
are going to hell.
Right.
That's not the way you reach people, though.
That's right.
That's
Right.
not the way you convey the gospel. That's not the way you build relationships and you speak truth through that. And so it's a balance. But again, it kind of goes back to what you're talking about being nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like as Christians, that's so hard because we're supposed to be so sappy, sweet, nice.
Right. And then the world is the one that decides who's nice.
Right.
Right.
And they're the ones that tell the Christian community, you're not being nice. If you say anything about that, you're not being nice. And the Christian community for years has not said, well, no, this is truth. We're trying
Right.
to warn people. We're telling people the truth. This is, and so actually what you are kind of bringing up, and I want to get to that, is with what you were saying about we've got to kind of fix our side, the conservative right Christian side, that we have issues there. I want to go out and fight the left, but we're going to have to convince our own side to actually go out and fight the fight, to actually go out and speak the truth,
Yes.
and that we're supposed to be engaged, that we're called to be engaged into the in the world, that we're supposed to try to make our state, our communities reflective of what God says how things are supposed to be,
Right.
and stop being afraid. Because somebody says, "What are you trying to do? Have a theocracy? A theocracy?" I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. I say that what God says, what's in the Bible, is the way we should manage our affairs. Y'all say little kids can really be animals, and we need litter boxes in the schools.
Right.
But my opinions can't be considered because they may be based on God's word, and these things are right. Little kids are actually animals with litter boxes because that's secular, and they get to
Right.
always be right because they're secular, and I'm always wrong because it's based on some
Right.
sort of Judeo-Christian Western civilization thing. Do you see what I'm saying? We're going to live by somebody's rules, and this side, which is a religion, because there's no
is.
way you come up with Furbyville if you're just not making up crazy imaginary stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
is it that they get to just say, we won't listen to you because that's religious, but this is a religion. It's some sort of transhumanist,
Yes.
some kind of religion. They believe they have a set of guidelines, what's right, what's wrong, what you must say, what you mustn't say, no tolerance for anything outside of it. these are the rules, these are the tenets. You got to be for abortion. You got to believe all these things. You got to believe in evolution. You need to believe there is no God, and you will abide by their religion, or you will be destroyed.
We have to stop caring what they think.
That's true.
Honestly, like what I remember, we went and heard Carol Swain was here, and she was speaking, and it was right when CRT was. Were you there?
I was not there that time. I love her though.
She was so good when CRT was just coming on the scene, and so she did some Q&A afterwards, and she was like, what are y'all scared of? She was like, what? So they're going to call you racist because you stand up for God's image of humanity. They're going to call you racist anyway. You know, she's like, what? Speak out. They're already calling you those things. They're already saying those things. And that's where Christians, like, we're so afraid of being perceived as not nice and not godly and not Christian that we won't even, but they already think we're terrible anyway. So what does it matter?
But you go out and say that, and you speak the truth when it comes to CRT, and somebody on our side says, hey, y'all aren't speaking the truth in love. That's our side.
Yeah.
Right.
Calling
That's
us back. And then we're like, okay, I need to think about that. Let's have a meeting. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it that way.
No, you're
so,
right.
I mean, we're pushed and pulled both ways, but I think you're right. We have to get where we don't care. We have to worry about what the truth is, make sure we've got the truth, and then we have to go out and say it.
And I also think, and it's something I wrote about this week because it's been burning a hole in me for weeks, is this concept of nice versus kind concerned with truth, nice is concerned with appearance. We're concerned with truth,
I see
right?
the differences because I don't like the whole be kind.
Yeah, so the whole like be kind sounds so like soft and sweet, and we want to be kind, but nice feels very circumstantial. Kind is a state of the heart. But if we remember the truth of the people that were in the Word, like Esther, and we remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we remember Moses, we remember all the people in the Bible from beginning to end, they did crazy things. They were young, and some of it was ridiculous, like building an ark, and there hadn't been any rain. Are you kidding me? Or I'm going to come here and lead your people, but I've been in the desert for 40 years. Like nothing.
I killed a guy before.
I killed a guy.
Right.
You know, and so if we remember who we're from is these people, those are our heroes, and they were brave, and they risked their life, and I'm sure they were terrified. How could you not be terrified based on what all these people faced? But calling to, as a believer, who God made us to be, then we can look out at the world and go, I know the truth, and He knows my name, and I'm going to boldly speak truth. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be kind, but I'm not going to back down.
Right. No, I'm with you.
If we do it that way, but remembering the stock that we're a part of, that the vine that we're grafted, or the branch and the root that we're grafted into, to me, that's inspiring and gives me courage, because I think, oh yeah, we're not of this world. This is not our home. So I can say, yeah, we're not going to have furries. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Because I respect you. Same thing with the voting we talked about a few weeks ago. I respect you so much in your unique identity in Christ that I can't allow you to pretend that you are a furball. Right. Or I can't allow you to pretend that you think you're a dude when you're a lady, or vice versa. I can't. I love you too much because you're made in the image of God, and you have too much dignity. If we approach it that way, then we're like, okay, let's go. Everybody, we ride at dawn. Let's go.
No,
you know?
I'm with you on that. Absolutely. Any thoughts?
So, I mean, just what happens though, like I'm trying to think how this carries out. You know, probably the furry does not
Can we just say cats and dogs?
Yeah,
Probably,
yeah,
Because
okay.
cats and dogs, because little kids thinking they're cats
I'd
and
be a
dogs
cat.
does sound
If I had to
crazy.
identify,
You
I'd
would
be a cat.
Well, okay,
What are you gonna be?
so the girl that's a middle, I can't judge her heart, but she's probably doesn't know Jesus.
If she, okay.
Okay. And so what happens if this is where it comes in. In the end, like I will tell her, you were made in the image of God. He made you not a cat. But if you want to be a cat, I can't stop that.
Right.
But what's happening is our world is just caving to the cats and the male who's a female.
I have
and
to,
if you want to do that,
right.
you can go be a cat.
That's right. You can.
But we can't fashion the entire world around middle school cat girl.
Right.
It's just not.
Yeah, because now I have to accept that.
Right.
I have to.
That's my problem.
I have to meow to her. I have to use whatever term. I have to I have to
Right.
pretend that she's really a cat.
But like, if
And
you
that
show
seems
up as a
tyrannical.
cat next week, I'll laugh at you. But
Yes.
like, whatever, you're a grown man. If you want to be a cat, but don't make me call you a cat.
That's the problem
That's
I
the
have
problem.
with a lot of
Yeah.
it. You can do it, and don't make the. It's going back to so many issues like homosexual marriages, where I see a lot of this was the real breaking point, and the
agree.
Supreme Court just dreamed it up. I mean, it's totally dreamed up. And you've probably never heard my reason. I love to use this one on lawyers. So let me get this straight on the whole homosexual marriage, because I say, look, they made it up. They just created it. They wanted to have homosexual marriage, so the Supreme Court just literally wrote it down as law. Here's the thing. So the Constitution of the United States did not guarantee women the right to vote. The 14th Amendment did not guarantee women the right to vote. Now, women voted in some states. Some states had it, some states didn't. So we had to come back and have a special amendment to guarantee women the right to vote, right? And is
Okay.
there anything more American than the right to vote? No.
Okay.
You fast forward. Remember, we had to have a special amendment for women to vote. You fast forward, and the new Supreme Court decides that gay marriage is protected by the very amendment that would not guarantee women the right to vote.
That's
Which
good.
totally proves they made it up. Because I'm pretty sure the right to vote is more likely to be guaranteed by the Constitution than whether or not guys can marry guys.
Right.
And when you say that to attorneys, they're like,
They do what I just did.
yes, they have there's a glitch.
There's like a little speech bubble that's thinking.
Right.
Okay. So how do you feel about marriage versus civil union?
So
Like-
here's the thing. I personally believe, okay, so the rest of that thought before I got off down that little rabbit trail was that we started down this road, and the whole gay marriage thing was not really about whether, I can visit somebody in the hospital, and, there's all the stories of, the hospital won't let the boyfriend come in. And I'm like, boy, they're mean at y'all's hospital. I don't know about you. But because you can do all these legal agreements. I can give all my stuff to
Right.
you. I can do all those kinds of things. But what it was really about was saying, okay, we want the government and we want everybody else to say, yes, you are married. Now, fast forward. We have men who are claiming they're women. You and I are fine with, you can claim you're a woman all
Right,
you want.
right.
Right.
But it's not about that. It's about forcing me to say, and the government to say, oh, yes, you're a woman. Now we're moving on to people who think they're animals. And the move will be to force us to admit and say,
Right.
and we actually have to speak it, yes, you're an animal, meow. Right. You see what I'm saying? So that's it. It all kind of started back there.
Yeah.
You must accept our words, our verbiage, and you must say you agree. Even in your mind, you
Right.
don't,
Right.
but you must recognize it. And so now we're just moving down the list of more things that we have to recognize, whether it's real or not. I mean, the definition of marriage was man and woman. That's just marriage.
Right.
That's what it means.
Right.
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 In the Latin, it probably should mean man, woman.
And marriage is instituted by God in Scripture.
Yes.
And it's a man and a woman. So it's interesting because if you want to draw up a document that says that you all are spouses or have a civil union,
Right.
I'm actually great with that. I mean,
That is a
but
business
marriage
arrangement.
is
Right.
sacred. Marriage is holy. It is godly, and marriage you can't redefine it. It is what it is. So, but I think, and I look back at that, and I'm like, that's really the starting point. Probably goes way back, but that was a huge inflection point of breaking down the nuclear family
Correct.
for the
Amen.
government, which
Yes.
just feeds into this entire agenda. I wish back then I had been awake. I just thought that well, I don't know if I should
Well, I
name
mean, I think
names.
it's
I was
like
going to
most
name
people, I think.
leaders that now I look back and I'm like, oh God. But but yeah, I mean, we just kind of trusted that they had our best interests. But there was
Well, we
look
keep
back-
thinking, well, what does it matter?
Yeah.
What does
right.
it matter? And we take one more step back. What does it matter? What does it matter? That one was a huge one,
right.
and they knew where they were going, and they got it, and
Right.
they just went on to the next one. I mean,
Right.
it was like immediately after the Supreme Court ruled, we were moving on to transgenderism.
Yep.
And you're like, how did I didn't even know there was such a thing? I thought it was just cross-dressing. I didn't know we really believe. I thought we were doing clinger and mash.
I just had that conversation. I'm like, we didn't know what like you just put on girl clothes. You were just a cross-dresser, a transvestite, and whatever.
Right.
But now we have
I was always thinking like, man, that's got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
aren't y'all the ones who always say beauty is painful?
It is. Suffer for beauty. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, people are free to do what they want. That's that's why we have free speech. I mean, like, you are free to do what you want to do. But you also then can't expect our respect to let you do what you want and then completely disrespect where we're coming from. Mm-hmm. So it is a respect issue. But you're right. It was all those years ago when people brought up the gay marriage and whatever it is. Oh, that's crazy. That'll never happen. I mean, how many times do we have to say that won't happen here till we're at the bottom of the barrel and going?
And there's nothing left.
Nothing.
What is left?
Right. Well, you brought up bestiality, which I just even the word. But
So vile.
pedophilia is, I mean, it's on the march now.
Did
I
you
mean,
see the professor?
I did.
That
there's certain things I just
I'll
avoid.
put this in that.
There's things I don't want to know.
There.
I don't want to read articles.
Don't
because there's just
read it.
things I do not want to know.
I heard it.
fine
It'll make you
living-
sick.
Yeah.
See, I
it's
don't want to know.
disgusting.
It'll
I
make
don't
you
wanna know.
sick.
And you're going to tell me, aren't you?
I'm just going to say there is a huge push right now to normalize pedophilia, and it's disgusting.
And it started in the 90s with the Man Boy Love Association. I was on the speaking
NAMBLA
tour.
or
Yeah,
whatever it's called.
I was on the speaking tour at that time. And so it really started because they're trying to normalize older men with younger boys. And they would have parades. And they would be included in some of the St. Patrick's Day parades way back when. Just on the fringe of society. And now,
Here it is.
Shazam. You're right.
Shazam.
Okay, now let me ask people. Okay, so if you're from a secular viewpoint and you have no godly background, or you're a wimpy Christian who doesn't believe in saying anything is wrong, so what? Why is it wrong? I mean, what are we basing our decisions on? If we're not basing them on Judeo-Christian, what God says, or Western civilization, why not?
Yeah.
Everything is good. We're just animals. Look, we were little bacteria, probably COVID viruses at one time, then bacteria, all the way up, monkeys, now we're people. Why not?
Right.
It goes back to absolute truth.
Yes.
And we can't live in this relative, how I wake up is how I feel and how I'm going to act. I mean, but I wrestle with that all the time. If I don't have Jesus, if I don't have something bigger than myself running my life, I might be a cat too.
Right.
I don't know. So where is that boundary and that line of, again, if you want to show up in a cat suit.
Right. Okay. So here's the kicker for us.
Okay, let's
Okay.
go.
This is the hard question. We just got through all saying, I said it too. Hey, if that's what you want to do your thing. Where do we draw the line on that? Because
So,
we just brought up
yeah.
the terrible policy, the Man Boy Love Association, whatever it is. We're not going to let them just do their thing, are we?
I think what we have to do is exactly what you said, which is fight for truth and fight for what is beautiful and right, and objective truth versus subjective truth, and objective based on the object, or as philosophers say, it's the correspondence theory of truth, or meaning it's truth as it actually is. It corresponds with reality. So we can let people be free to do their thing because God allows us to be free to be sinners as well, right? However, there comes a point when we will have opportunities to have conversations with people where we get to ask questions and find out where they're coming from in regards to truth and have those conversations. But the reason we'll even be able to have those conversations in the future is if we run for office, is if we know what truth is if we stand tall, and if we are proud about it, if we don't back down. But we have to know first what truth is and where it comes from, and be willing to ask hard questions, not necessarily like stand outside the Hootie and the Blowfish, concert, like you are going to hell. That may hit somebody. But really what's going to be more important is to get to know people in your community. And this is how we change it, is in our community, and have those conversations and ask them about truth, and ask them when they make ludicrous statements, tell me where you're coming from. Tell me more about that. How did you arrive at that conclusion? And you can begin to pull apart their own philosophy and realize they don't know what truth is. And they'll be more open to say, well, what is truth then?
Right.
And that's where we go. But it's a time investment. We're going to be pouring out our lives if this is ever to happen.
Right.
See, I took it from a different angle when you say, where do we draw the boundaries? Like, I go back to, honestly, the Garden of Eden. Like, that was really the first government. When they sinned, they ate the apple. God gave them rules. They disobeyed. So he puts the angel out front. Well, what was the angel? Well, it was to protect Adam and Eve. So government is to protect the people.
Kept them from the tree of life.
Right.
Right.
And it's also to protect property, really. That's why
Yes.
God instituted government. So I think the boundaries are drawn when your decisions interact with my life, physically, maybe emotionally, when you're asking me to
What
do
about
things
spiritually?
that
Yes.
are against my conviction.
Because when the government is saying things that God says are wrong is okay, I think it has a spiritual impact.
Absolutely. And so you are asking me to give on my convictions. And really what's happening is I want to look at like all the people that want to be called a cat, and I want to be like, okay, go ahead and say Jesus is Lord. That's what you're asking me to say, something that I do not believe in, that I think is wrong. Just as you probably would not say
It's brilliant.
God sent Jesus to
Right.
save us, otherwise we're condemned to hell forever.
Right.
So there's, it's like you're saying, there's no give. There's no give. And that's the problem where we are.
And
is
one
that
side will win.
One side will win. And right now they are winning.
Yes.
So I don't know.
So when we're
it's-
teaching, so when we're okay, so we've got the group of teenage kids, and we're at the church or we're at the school, whatever, and they're asking about truth and what's truth and all this kind of stuff, and we say, look, we're going to draw the line. In the state of Alabama, there will be no tolerance for pedophilia. There will be no tolerance for bestiality. And somebody says, why? And we eventually are going to say, because God said so.
Right.
And then they're going to have the whole thing of, blah, I don't believe in it. Okay, fine. But that's what we're doing, and that's the rules we're going by, okay?
Right.
And then that one kid, that really smart kid, is going to go, well, God says that's wrong, that's wrong. What about homosexual marriage? Half the people we know are going to run and hide, or they're going to hope that the bell rang, because they don't want to take that next step. The battles we've lost already, they don't want to say, oh, no, that's wrong too. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we're either going to have to be for truth or not for truth.
Right.
And a lot of us want to be for the truth that we haven't lost yet, but we don't really say that one or another one past that. Because I go with I think in the state of Alabama, adultery used to be illegal.
It did.
And there was a punishment for it.
What?
And then somebody came along and said, oh, that's terrible. We can't have that. That's some kind of Christian thing. We need to be able to have adultery.
Right.
And so that was actually probably one of the first
Wow.
little dominoes we knocked down as we move forward to this progressive utopia we have now, where very few people are devoted to each other, et cetera, et cetera. All right, here's the last question, because you'll get in trouble if you answer that probably. Y'all both would go full
my mind
in
is
it.
blown. Like we've covered so much. Oh my
We
goodness.
have-
I'm
we
gonna have to
have.
go home and like pray and do some homework.
This is the
Let's
last one for
reconvene.
y'all.
Okay.
Do we, as at least Western civilization, Christianized people in the state of Alabama, because that's what this show is mostly about, Alabama, do we have a right, a God-given right, to actually govern ourselves under the laws of God, under the laws that the country was founded on? Do we have that right as free people? Or are we to be forced to live under the guidelines of the new humanist secularist? Do we not have a right to govern ourselves in the way we see fit? Or should we be forced to live like California, Massachusetts?
So I believe that, as you said, the rights that we have are given by God, so no man can take them away. And if people can't bear to say God, then we say, well, then they're natural. It's natural law. That it's that whole like mutual respect situation. you can live the way you want, but this is how we were founded. We're going to get back to basics. This is how I'm going to live. You're free to do that, but you cannot force me, because the same people that, for example, want to force you to get a COVID vaccine or a booster do not want to be forced to do anything in their life.
Right.
And so I think this is something that we don't give on, because it's our foundation. And if you want to change the foundation, then you're going to have to go change the Constitution. And that means you're going to have to get involved in office, and that means you're going to have to do some battling that way. But you do not get to come in and wholesale just take them away from us. That's how skirmishes begin. But I think, no, we battle for the foundations that we have, that our forefathers fought for.
And the ones we've lost.
And the ones that we've lost. And the reason we've lost is because it kind of circles back to the beginning of the conversation, because we ceded our culture. And we said, well, this is just the best we can do.
Right. We're going to lose.
Just gone back to the house.
We know how the last book goes.
I know, so it's over. It's fatalistic.
Right.
We don't
The
want
church
any of
lady.
that.
Right.
Right?
Drink
Yes.
some coffee.
You were going to drink some coffee, and we'll talk about it.
amongst
Okay.
ourselves.
We are. But that's what we did. We completely said, forget about
Pennsylvania.
it. Forget about it. I am verklempt. So that's what we did.
But,
we gave over culture,
Yes.
and we're here.
But why can we not rule ourselves? Why can
Here's
we
the
not govern
can.
ourselves?
Here's
We've
the problem.
given that up because
We
we're
have.
such bad people.
Oh.
Because
Right.
150 years ago, we had slavery. So we should just we have no rights.
If you look at the Constitution, there is definitely our forefathers were. This country was founded in Judeo-Christian principles. It also was written, I think, with an understanding that most people in government and in America would stay under those Judeo-Christian principles, where there's a certain level of morality and truth within our people. And what we're seeing happening is the Constitution is falling apart because most people don't hold those values. I mean, this is the first time in how long that less than half of America identifies as Christian.
Right.
I mean, that's why our Constitution and our founding principles are failing, because we've lost sight of really our founding fathers' vision for the Constitution. Right. I still have hope, for sure. I still have hope, but most countries and governments don't make it past 200 years. We're at 250. And so we're kind of, I mean, there are civilizations that are older than us, but we're kind of on borrowed time
Right.
if you look at historical contexts and cycles of how this works. So it's scary. It's very, because I love America. Are we perfect? No. But I mean, you don't come to be a powerhouse in the world by being average and doing things the way everybody else has. I mean, we've done some amazing things with some very diverse cultures, and that's what makes us great. I mean, we are a land of immigrants, but we're losing that foundation, and I hope we can get it back. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying.
Well,
we're trying.
That's what we're doing
That's
here.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I appreciate y'all. We've enjoyed the show. This has been Alabama Unfiltered. You can find it at all the usual places that you look for podcasts. Please go there and give us a thumbs up or 5 stars, whichever is necessary to help us out. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. We'll see y'all next time.